Good evening, everyone. Just finished B'dikas Chametz, and I'm going to go say Dvar Torah. It's on Parshas Tzav, because we won't have a Parsha this week because it's Pesach, but I'm going to connect it to the whole concept of the God of telling your children about the historical happenings, how Hashem was goyal us. So we have an interesting mitzvah here in Perek Vav, in Parshas Tzav, Pasuk Hey, Pashat is Begodov. The Kohen is going to remove his garments. He's going to wear other garments, other begodim. And he's going to remove the ashes to outside the camp, el makom tahar, to a pure place. Rashi says on this, he shall remove the ashes, which have collected in the tapuach. Tapuach literally means an apple. It's a pile of ashes at the center of the mizbeach. The Kohanim would rake away ashes from the sides to the center, so that the ashes formed a mound, and that mound is referred to as a tapuach. This is from the Sefer Zikaron. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Imagine if somebody treated you to a night at a fancy hotel. I don't know, the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, if that's a fancy enough hotel. I'm not sure. I don't really go to hotels that often. Waldorf Astoria, the King David Hotel in Israel. And you walk into your $4,000 a night room, right? Beautiful jacuzzi, beautiful view of the ocean, everything to the nines. You walk in and you see a heap of ashes on your bed. What would you do? I think you would go out of your mind. You would call housekeeping and you would yell at them and say, "What's going on? I'm spending $4,000 a night and you give me a room that is dirty, full of ashes." Alachas kama v'kama, we're in the base of Mikdash. Ein aniyas b'mokom hashiris. It is the most holiest place in the world. Everything has to be perfect. It has to be the epitome of beauty, of regality, of class. And here we have a bunch of ashes on Hashem's mizbeach. I mean, how does that even make sense? So I want to just tell you that a lot of the things that we do in the mizbeach, and specifically in the base of Mikdash, and specifically on the mizbeach, symbolism behind it. So I wanted to say, Lafinas Daiti, the pshat in the ashes are that these ashes are the ashes of the prior days, Kabbanis, and the days before that, etc., etc. All too often, we forget who we come from. And I think because we forget who we've come from, we don't realize our own potential. We don't give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We don't realize our true greatness. People died so that we could be here. People gave up their lives in pogroms, in the Crusades, in the Spanish Inquisition, in the Nazi hell that we had more than 70 years ago. People gave up their lives. People were Meiser Nefesh. I know my family was Meiser Nefesh tremendously to leave Munkach, to come to this country. My father and my mother were Meiser Nefesh to send me to yeshiva. It wasn't easy. So how we can never forget the sacrifice of the Friedeke of the previous generations, ever. And the minute we forget that, then we forget where we came from, we forget ourselves, and then we lose sense of who we really are supposed to be. That is the same thing by the Haggadah. The purpose of the Haggadah, why is the main mitzvah of the Haggadah is because in order to perpetuate the Ahadus that we have, our religion, we have to understand where we came from. Yes, we had humble beginnings, but we were enslaved and Hashem took us out. Because in every generation, somebody stands up and tries to push our faces into the dirt. But we have to always remember the stories of our grandparents, great-grandparents. My grandmother told me stories of how she survived the camps, how she saved her sister, she risked her life. She traded places with her sister, Feige, in order, in the infirmary, in order to prevent her from going to the gas chamber. She was willing to go to the gas chamber. So that's how my parents got their Mesiras Nefesh. And that's how they were able to send me to yeshiva. So never forget the ashes, never forget the actions of the previous generation, because that's the fuel for the current generation and for future generations. Never forget where you came from. You'll never forget how great you are and what potential you can unlock in yourselves. Thank you very much. Have a chag kosher v'sameach. This shir is dedicated to Il Nishmas, my fantastic uncle Alvin Lou from Yitzhak ben Yaakov Zev. Be well.